Jig is up, Captain Beefy Box. I know what you really are.
Actually, Chiro, I'm not Captain Beefy Box at all.
My name's Clogging Colon Creature, and I talk straight up gangster, homie.
Hey, can someone call Man? I am not woke enough for this.
Cartoon Network.
1, a 2.
Here I go, I'm about to freak the flow. About the Cartoon Network and things they show. We got the super adventures, tune heads, and late night. It's black and white, but everything's alright. But I'll break it down a little bit more. Tell you what they have in store, what his tunes you're looking for. We got Fred Flintstone and Bonnie Rubble, my man.
Belongs to you. We're going to the world of Jetix. The world of Jetix. A magic adventure to somewhere new.
A long time ago, in the far-off land of 2004, Disney decided it wanted to branch out into action cartoons after acquiring Fox Family's lineup of action shows. You know, stuff like Digimon and all those old Marvel cartoons that looked good but didn't look good, you understand.
The check's in the mail, baby.
At first, all the shows were just kinda scattered all over the place, under different blocks and names in different countries, but that didn't sit well with Disney, who usually just kinda name stuff after themselves. No, they needed a name to unite all their action shows under one banner. A strong name. A name that makes you think, I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool anyway. And that name was...
Jetix!
What the fuck does that even mean?
Jetix was a block created by Disney to handle all of the more action-based stuff Disney got its grubby hands on. Your Beyblades, your Power Rangers, even the stuff that Disney made that leaned more towards its older kids like Buzz Lightyear and Gargoyles. But while all this acquired programming was good and all, it makes sense that Disney would want to strengthen the Jetix brand by making its own programs. So they decided to start off strong and introduce the world to its brand new favorite cartoon.
Get down!
No.
While exploring the outskirts of the city, I discovered an abandoned super robot. It was then my life was transformed by the mysterious power primate. The robot monkeys were awakened, and I, Chiro, made their leader. Our quest, save Shigezum City from the evils of the Skeleton King. Super robot monkey team, hyperforce go! Fighting any evil, they are Shigezum's hope. Super robot monkey team, hyperforce go! Defeating any foe.
What is this, and how can I make the rest of my life about it?
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Say that out loud with me real quick. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. The power that this title alone gives off is enough to make Axe Cop blush. Monkey Team was the first show created by Jetix Animation Concepts, a group created by Disney to make shows and cartoons aimed at a preteen audience. It was followed up with Get Ed and Yin Yang Yo. But Monkey Team is a show I've always had a certain fondness for. It always just felt so special to me. So unique in its style and presentation. Nothing like it was on at the time and nothing like it has been on since. And today, I want to find out why. I'm your host, and that guy without the glasses, D'Angelo Edwards. And today, I'm taking my hat off to Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Another quake. This can't be good. It's not. Monkeys, mobilize.
Alright, so what is the show about? Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go is the story of Chiro, a boy who lives in the futuristic Shigezum City. One day, while out exploring the outskirts of the city, he finds a giant robot and activates it, waking up a team of cyborg monkeys, and becoming endowed with the power primate. Basically, this show's version of like the Force. The monkeys basically say, "Sweet free kid," and take him in, making Chiro the leader of the Hyperforce. But like most kidnappings, the monkeys had a good reason, because the evil Skeleton King is terrorizing Shigezum City. And now it's up to Chiro and his new simian family to stop his evil reign. So that's the basic setup. We have Chiro, the team leader, and the 5 monkeys. Antari, SPRX-77, or Sparks, Mr. Hal Gibson.
Do not call me Mr. or Hal, just Gibson, please.
Alright, just Gibson, Nova, and finally Otto, fighting against the main bad guy, Skeleton King, and his army of monsters. It's your typical Monster of the Week type formula, with Chiro and the monkeys facing a different baddie either in Shigezum or outer space. But all throughout there's always something going on in the background. It's one of those shows that while you can start almost anywhere, you'll start to pick up stuff as it goes along. One of my favorite types of shows, actually. I know that a lot of people prefer ongoing storylines, especially nowadays since we've been conditioned to. But when the show is good, it doesn't matter how the story is told, as long as you have fun with the characters every episode. And with Monkey Team, I definitely did. Speaking of characters, let's talk about the main one, Chiro. He's a fun-loving, robot-obsessed kid who suddenly finds himself with more power than he ever thought he would have. He loves video games, hamburgers, and protecting his city. At all costs. Chiro is a pretty straightforward character. I was worried I was going to get bored of him at first, but there really is a lot to like about him. He's nice to all the citizens, he's always willing to lend a helping hand to anyone who needs it, and he'll fight to his last breath to protect the weak. And it's fun getting to see him grow as the series progresses. The show doesn't exactly tell you when Chiro started protecting Shigezum, but when the show starts, it's implied that he's still pretty new at it, judging from the opening. So he's not perfect. He makes mistakes, gets hurt, and sometimes he's not that smart. But over time, you get to see him settle down into leadership, taking command and starting to master his powers with the help of the monkeys. Speaking of which, let me introduce them. First off, we have Antari, the second in command of the team, and my favorite as well. He takes the role of Chiro's mentor, guiding him in learning the ways of the power primate. While he usually just lets Chiro take command, he's more or less in charge for the beginning parts of the series. He's wise, calm, and the most precise fighter of the team, taking out enemies with his ghost claws. Although always focused on the mission, he's not above having fun, which really rounds out the character. Kind of like how Garnet was always the most serious gem, but she always had the funniest lines.
They're bleeding. Oh no, they are dead. Don't call again. Sorry, I panicked.
It's all about the juxtaposition, baby. Next up, we have Sparks, the hotshot of the team. Always ready to show off and impress the ladies. Kinda iffy on that one though, considering that most of the time, he's into human ladies.
Not when you look like me.
Stop! But he's fun. He's cocky and rash, but him and Chiro have a cute brotherly relationship, which can lead to them bringing out both the worst and the best in each other. And he's super helpful in the fight, both with his piloting skills and his magnet blasters. This leads me to Gibson, the brains of the bunch. He spends most of his time working on experiments, but he's not boring. He usually plays the straight man, reacting wildly to the other monkeys or ending up the butt of the jokes. Him and Antari are pretty close actually, seeing how they're the most mature members of the team. And it brings a cool dynamic seeing how Gibson is mostly on the science side, and Antari is on the mystical side. His experiments either end up hurting or helping the team, but his drills more than make up for his failures. Nova is the only female member of the team, and also the strongest fighter. She can be hot-headed, but in her core, she's really sweet, and is often there to comfort Chiro when it comes to his emotions, and he's always there to do the same thing for her. She and Sparks also have a sort of will they, won't they kind of thing going on, which can be weird because sometimes they refer to each other as brothers, but maybe that's just like a team thing, or the fact that they're all monkeys, I don't know. Pretty sure this takes place in Shigezum and not Space Alabama, so I think we're safe. She fights by turning her hands into giant yellow fists. Straightforward, but effective nonetheless. Lastly, we have Otto, the mechanic of the team, and also the resident goofball. Always joking around, getting lost inventing stuff, or just lazing about. He's the heart of the team. He's usually seen hanging around with Gibson making stuff, or with Chiro and Sparks being dumb somewhere. Real knucklehead energy, you gotta love it. He fights with energy saws. I really love how besides the clear camaraderie you feel between these characters, you can also see how Chiro has taken lessons from all of the monkey team. Like I said before, he's new to this whole superhero thing, so he didn't start off with the skills he has. Antari taught him how to use his powers, Sparks taught him how to pilot the robot, Gibson taught him how to think things through, Nova taught him martial arts, and Otto taught him his mechanical skills. He really is the product of all these people, and it sells the idea that Chiro was really qualified to lead the team, because they all saw something in him and gave him the skills he needed. They're all straightforward characters, but they all work really well together. which makes them all easy to like. It makes you want to root against the Skeleton King or whatever bad guy they happen to be up against. And there are so many bad guys. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Shigezum City, that one city they're protecting, yeah, it's the only one. Not only city in that country, I mean only city on that planet. The rest of the world looks like what America is gonna look like in about 2 years. Barren wastelands, wild jungles, and tons of monsters. So the team has their hands full with some pretty messed up creatures.
So much for mouth, Tor.
Mouth Tor? Really, Otto, must you give every creature we engage a ridiculous name?
Have you seen your team's name?
Monkeys, mobilize!
Most of the time they're fighting the Formless, the gooey foot soldiers of the Skeleton King. They're basically the putty patrol of the series. A good way to inject some action to the episode. They mostly go down in 1 or 2 hits, but every so often they debut some special Formless just to keep some variety. But they fight a whole lot more. Deep sea creatures from under Shigezum, crazy robot dudes who want to take the monkey's hands, a living planet under the control of the Skeleton King. This thing? I'm still not over this. Why is this a thing?
Kiss the ring, Cheryl. I'm Howdy.
But yeah, they go up against some pretty interesting monsters. But sometimes, the threat comes from an unexpected place.
Super Robot Monkey Team.
Hyperforce Go? How do you know about that?
I know everything about you, Cheryl. We should hang out together.
One of my favorite episodes is A Man Called Kringle. It starts off normal enough, focusing on a team whose job it is to clean up after Hyperforce battles. Which, kudos on them, I wasn't thinking about it, but it's cool that it got explained. I was just gonna chalk it up as this the future, get over it. But in this cleanup crew, there's a member that seems kinda off, kinda weird, kinda quirky. That man is Jairus Kringle. He's a super huge fan of the Hyperforce, and dreams of nothing more than getting to hang out with his heroes. One might say he's even a little bit obsessed, starring Beyonce Knowles.
Come here! Didn't I tell you not to come to my house?
He leaves little gifts for the team, talks to his monkey toys, and eventually infiltrates the super robot where he brainwashes the team into thinking he's Chiro, imprisoning the real one in a robot, and leading to this disturbing scene.
While exploring the outskirts of the city, I discovered an abandoned super robot. It was then my life was transformed by the mysterious power primate. Robot monkeys were awakened, and I, Chiro, made their leader. Our quest, save Shigezum City from the evils of the Skeleton King.
I am very uncomfortable with the energy that we've created in the studio today.
The episode ultimately ends with Chiro breaking out and appealing to Jairus' humanity and love of the team, defeating him and sending him to a space prison, where he's still convinced he's part of the team. See, that's the thing about this show. It's a kid's show for sure, but it can get dark. For every silly alien they fight, there's another flesh abomination just waiting to happen. I mean, just look at this guy.
Nothing to worry about.
No, 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 no! Hell no!
There's even an episode where they fight clones of Chiro, which ends in them melting down and becoming an Akira-style flesh abomination. Even Skeleton King, the main bad guy, is pretty creepy. He's mostly your standard evil villain, but the way he does things is so messed up. He uses parts of his own body to create monsters, raises armies of corpses, and even psychologically assaults the heroes. He's not that deep a villain at the start, but you definitely always feel his presence throughout the story, especially as things start to progress. What starts off as a standard Monster of the Week show slowly morphs into something more as we dive into the backstory of the monkeys and Skeleton King as well. We're even introduced to Mandarin, the sixth monkey, who used to be the leader of the Hyperforce. In other words, Chiro's predecessor. He was violent and obsessed with power, so he was sent away. But one day he returns, and this time, under the Skeleton King. He's such a cool character. I have a soft spot for villains that use the same powers as the heroes, and he's even a look into the future at the things that Chiro might become able to do, seeing as how he has already mastered the power primate. He wants to use Chiro for himself and to take revenge against his monkey brethren, but time and time again he's defeated by the team, but he's never too far away. The fights between the Skeleton King and the monkey team escalate further, and we even learn that the Skeleton King wasn't always evil, and that he was once known as the Alchemist, but he was corrupted by a force known as the Dark Ones. And it was because of this corruption that he feared he would need something to stop him if he ever went too far. So he created a force that could fight back against the villain that he could feel himself becoming. He created the Monkey Force. Yep, these monkeys were created to take out their creator, which really just lends to the dark themes present in the show that you see with all the villains. Trying to better yourself, but in the process losing yourself? This show is a lot more than the sum of its parts. And speaking of dark, you haven't seen anything yet.
Awaken. Let the world shudder before its master.
After 2 seasons in, Chiro has become a much stronger character, both in body and mind. He's mastered more of the power primate, even learning how to summon it around him in an avatar form, and has pretty comfortably settled into his leadership role. And the team decides it's time to take care of Skeleton King once and for all. This leads to an all-out battle. Formless are filling the city, the robot takes considerable damage, and Chiro and Antari have a climactic battle against Skeleton King and the new and improved Mandarin. The fight is a struggle, and it looks like they'll lose many times, but somehow they seem to win. That is, until...
How did you do that? The power primate's gone.
Is it really gone, Chiro?
Antari is massively damaged, and it's up to Chiro to pick up the slack. He fights back against Mandarin, defeating him seemingly for good this time, and even fights against a newly empowered Skeleton King, who proves to be too much for him. But just when all hope is lost, Antari makes the ultimate sacrifice, and uses all of his strength to fight back against the menace, sending a part of his energy into Chiro, transforming him into the coolest monkey in the jungle, but also sadly costing Antari his life. The episode ends with the monkeys mourning the loss of their comrade as Chiro runs off, his team having no idea where he is. Okay, first off, this is a lot for kids to take in one episode. Not only do you kill off one of the funny talking monkeys, the main hero is now transformed into a freak, and you're left to wonder if he's ever going to be the same again. I remember when I was a kid, I was stunned. I just saw my favorite character die. A trend that would sadly continue. Ask any of my friends. If I have a favorite character, they are either going to beef it or at least get real close. But this was the finale of the season. We wouldn't learn what would happen for 4 months. That's like 10 years in kid time. But don't worry, the story doesn't end here. We'll find out the team's fate right after this break.
Cartoon Network.
All right, boys.
Cartoon Network.
1, a 2.
Here I go.
There's still a chance. I've got a faint trace on his signal. There's no time to waste. Monkeys, mobilize!
So, our hero's a chimp, we're down 1 monkey. What are you gonna do? We're gonna get them back is what we're gonna do. The team tracks down Chiro, who it turns out didn't run away without a purpose. You see, that part of Antari's power that went into him, that wasn't just his power. That was Antari, and his spirit guides Chiro to the
Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
Chiro transfers the spirit into the new robot body, turning him back to normal, but more importantly, bringing back my boy Antari, now looking even cooler, sporting new powers, and instead of being a cyborg like his friends, Antari is now fully robotic. Now with the team fully reassembled, it's time for them to go and finish off Skeleton King, who has now become fused with one of the Dark Ones. I remember this episode being the hypest thing when I was a kid. Nothing is cooler in shows like this than a power-up. It's that same itch that got scratched whenever Goku went up a level in Super Saiyan. And the fact that it happened to my favorite monkey was just icing on the cake. He just looked so cool with the silver and black accents, and the purple claws, so freaking slick. Which, actually, speaking about that, I can't believe how long I've gone on without talking about one of my favorite aspects of the show. The art style. You would not believe how much of a grip this show's art style had on me as a kid. It was so sharp, so different than anything else on TV. I loved how all the characters have super tapered arms and legs. Like, look at these guys, they were born to punch and kick. I also love how all the environments are colored, and some of these locations are just jaw-dropping. Especially when they do the limited palette stuff. It really lends to the mood. And whenever they zoom in on the monkeys, the way that their arms and tails are outlined is just so satisfying to look at. I just want to take a nickel and run it over them. That's the word I would definitely use to describe the style of this show. Satisfying. It's very, very obviously anime inspired, but it's not the usual kind of anime inspired. A 60s and 70s style of anime. Stuff like Cyborg 009, Speed Racer, and of course Astro Boy. You can tell it was inspired by the works of Ken Ishikawa, Go Nagai, and Osamu Tezuka. You also see a lot of references to stuff like Super Sentai, Star Wars, and tons of other older sci-fi stuff. But the thing that this show does special, at least to me, is that it doesn't really rely on this stuff as a crutch or just a wink and a nod to the audience. So, I'm a big anime fan, right?
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here! Get the out of my room! Oh my God!
Freaking Weebs McGee over here. I own too many figures to be considered anything less. But if there's anything I'm getting sick of, it's all of these freaking animators cramming all of these Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z references down my throat. Like, it was cute the first few times, but after again and again and again, you start to get sick of it. Like, haha, guess what this hair is from? Look, he did the pose. No more. Stop it. Monkey Team doesn't do it. The love for anime is definitely there, but it's not constantly poking you like, do you get it? Do you? Do you? Instead of just referencing it, it does its best to simply understand the style, while adding its own fresh spin on it. Chiro doesn't have Super Saiyan hair, you won't see someone dressed up as Sailor Moon in the background, except this one episode that's like strangely Japanese for some reason. And they're not watching Minchi and Mokyo on TV. Monkey Team doesn't just talk about anime, it tries to join in on the conversation. Reverence over reference. And that reverence shines through.
Wasn't it what they stood for that made you want to be a hero?
Yeah, I guess. TV heroes are okay, but nothing compared to my friends.
It's also just beautifully storyboarded as well. The animation, I'm sure you can tell by now, is definitely limited. But as I've said time and time again, limited doesn't mean bad. You just have to work with what you got. Also, I'm pretty sure that this was as much a style choice as it was a budget choice, trying to nail that 70s limited style. a style that was developed by none other than Osamu Tezuka himself, creator of Astro Boy and the god of manga.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
When you have strong posing, good character designs, and competent staging, you can make a show that moves very little look just as good as shows that never stop moving. A lot of shows nowadays move more, but they look stiff in comparison. A little too on model, rarely moving the camera into weird angles. Very safe stuff. I've noticed this a lot with the recent Disney shows, which I want on record that I love. But you have to admit, looking at stuff like the Owl House and Amphibia, it can look a little soulless sometimes. I'm not trying to put down any of the artists that work on it. They're all super talented. I just don't think that they're allowed to go outside of the box that much when it comes to boarding or composition. Heck, even when they do those very well animated scenes, you know, the ones that trend on Twitter all the time because you guys can't help yourselves, there's nothing that distinct about the way it's animated. It looks good, but that's it really. If you were to erase the defining features of the characters and just had the sketch lines going, would you really be able to tell Owl House and Amphibia apart? People say that shows of the 90s like Dexter, Powerpuff Girls, and Johnny Bravo all look the same. And yeah, while they do share a lot of the same design philosophies, I know how each of these shows move. I recognize the quick smears of Johnny Bravo, the emphasis of keyframes shown in Powerpuff Girls, and the way that Dexter characters go from rubber to cement at the drop of a hat. And I know how Monkey Team moves. It's limited, yes, but it's distinct. It's memorable. And at least in my opinion, it looks amazing. There's still some hiccups though. Look at Nova's mouth. They just slapped some mouth movements over her closed mouth. I changed my mind. Terrible show.
Let's get him out of here. We have a job to do.
Alright, rant over. I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not. So let's keep moving right along. Before we get back to the story, there are a few more characters I want to spotlight real quick. First off, we have the Sunriders, a TV hero group that gained real powers after pledging loyalty to Skeleton King. It sucks seeing Chiro have to fight them, especially since they're one of the main reasons he wanted to be a hero. Heck, just look at his outfit. Luckily, the next time that we see them, they've changed their ways and now once again fight on the side of good. It's always nice to see a redemption story, especially in a show like this. I also love Captain Shigezum, a superhero from the past that tells the story of Shigezum, long before the Hyperforce. I just love his design. It's so cool. But the most important side character is Jinmei, Chiro's love interest.
Thank you. My name is Jinmei. I'm new in town.
Wait, hold up. Is that Ashley Johnson? Oh my god, what is wrong with you people? If you haven't noticed by now, Chiro is voiced by Greg Sipes, who is notorious for playing characters whose love interests are also voiced by Ashley. Like, it would be fine if it was once or twice, but 4 times? I get it, man. Hollywood wants to see these two bone. Stop it. Anyway, she's Chiro's love interest, because of course she is. But she's also one of my favorite characters. She has an adorable design, she stands up for herself, and best of all, it turns out she's actually a robot. Instant plus. Seems like Chiro took a page from the Zone-sama playbook. But Jinmei is great, and while she starts off as kind of the standard damsel in distress, she slowly gains control of her robot powers and even officially joins the Hyperforce, becoming a protector of Shigezum City. Which is good because they're gonna need all the help they can get to fight against the Skull Sorceress, a follower of the Skeleton King, who, along with Mandarin, who somehow survived, are now looking to resurrect the Skeleton King.
Felina! No!
Oh yes, Chiro. The resurrection of the Skeleton King has begun!
The team fight hard, even losing sparks to the dark side for a while, but eventually, despite their efforts...
No! No! It can't be!
I live again!
Skeleton King is resurrected, looking pretty cool if I do say so myself, and is now more powerful than ever. For the first time ever, it's gonna take more than the Hyperforce to finish him off for good. So the crew gather their allies, prepare for a war, and...
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom!
Yeah, that anger you're feeling right now? Yeah, that's me, times 1,000. Especially after rewatching it again for this video. Like, it was heating up and then nothing? I'm at full mast here, and then Disney cock-blocked me. There was so much going on here. The relationships were pretty solidified, Chiro went from a rookie to a full-fledged leader, and the ultimate battle was about to go down. And then nothing. Most people claim it was low toy sales or low ratings, but man, it literally just needed like 2 more episodes. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Goodbye, Shigezum. We'll be back.
All of the people that worked on this show are insanely talented. A bunch of people from it worked on things like Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, and Trese. The creator, Ciro Neely, also served as a director on the first 2 seasons of Teen Titans, which is funny because both of the shows share so many voice actors. You guys already know that Greg Sipes plays Chiro and Ashley Johnson plays Jinmei, but you also have Scott Menville playing a robot, Tara Strong plays the Sorceress, and Tom Kenny just kinda gets his fingers into everything. The only guy that they didn't get was Kari Payton, but I'm gonna choose not to look into that. All the voice acting is pretty well done. I'm always down to hear Mark Hamill and James Hong acting like evil jerks, and I love hearing Kari Walgren again as Nova. Always a plus. All in all, great talent all around. Neely even went on to direct on TMNT 2012. If you say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every time, you're a cop. I love the 2012 series. The best Ninja Turtles cartoon in my opinion, don't at me. You can really see his influence when you look at the shows back to back, especially in the way the characters look. But speaking of TMNT, there is an episode that is directly linked to Monkey Team. TMNT has an episode called The Weird World of Worm, which takes a lot of influence from the episode Meet the Wiggle Nog. And when I say influence, I mean beat for beat, it's the exact same episode. From someone wishing for excitement, to the dumb character gaining super intelligence, to wishing that the events of the episode never took place. They even show a picture of the Wiggle Nog in the same episode. I have never seen another cartoon do this before, but it is hilarious that it happened. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go was really something special. Looking at the early designs and plot, this show could have been kinda boring. Chiro would have been just some tag-along kid instead of the leader he grew up to be. There was a lot left unsaid, like what exactly are the Dark Ones? Why did they corrupt the alchemists? Why can't Chiro stop killing people? Like for real, it's not just monsters, watch this. You clearly hear a neck snap and they never show that character again. But seriously, it was a really special show. And I have no idea how Disney let it slide for 4 seasons. Like, this has to be the least Disney thing they've ever made. This show was fun. It was special. It was gorgeous. And I'm so sad to see that it never got a proper continuation. But even if the show's over, the fight never finishes. The Power Primate will live on forever. And as long as there's evil out there, the Monkey Team won't be far behind. We just gotta wait for the monkeys to mobilize.